she discovered the incredible truth. Her heartwarming barista was actually her billionaire boss. Emily dashed through the bustling streets of her Chicago suburb, her heart racing faster than the cars zooming by. Every step echoed the weight of her responsibilities. As a single mother, juggling 2 jobs felt relentless and daunting. Yet every evening, she held on to the dream of opening her bakery, a place where cupcakes danced with rainbows in Lily's eyes. But today was different. Today, her world teetered on the brink of something extraordinary. Nestled among the chaos was Brewed Awakenings, the cozy coffee shop that felt like a warm hug. It was Emily's refuge. Each morning she greeted the smell of freshly brewed coffee and the sweet warmth of pastries that wrapped around her spirit like a well-worn sweater. And then there was Jake, the barista with sun-kissed hair and a smile that seemed to chase the clouds away. He had a way of sprinkling light into her dim mornings, turning an ordinary day into something magical. "Morning, Emily. Sleepless night?" Jake teased, flashing that infectious grin. Emily chuckled. "You know it. Life of a superwoman." She felt a familiar flutter in her chest, the thrill of friendship mixed with an unspoken tension. Jake seemed to notice. "I've got a fresh batch of your favorite cupcakes today, just for you." He winked, and her heart leaped. Little moments like this inspired hope that sometimes felt distant, a glimmer of sweetness in her otherwise grueling existence. Despite everything, Emily would never forget to remind her daughter Lily about kindness. "Always share and be sweet to others, just like the cupcakes we bake," she taught her little girl. It was more than just words. It was a lifeline she clung to. But the shadows of her worries creeped in as bills piled up like stubborn autumn leaves. Deep within, Emily wrestled with the gnawing realization that ambition felt out of reach. And then a chance encounter changed everything. Jake's words echoed in her mind. "Don't give up on your dreams, Emily." She trusted him, believed in his wisdom. But the revelation shattered her. Jake was more than just a barista. He was the owner of Brewed Awakenings, a billionaire in disguise. In a shocking twist, Emily confronted him over coffee one day. "Why didn't you tell me?" she shouted, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and betrayal. "I opened my heart to you." Jake stood there, stunned, the weight of misunderstanding heavy in the air. "Emily, I care about you. It's not about money. It's about who I am. Please, listen." But she couldn't. Every painful thought collided within her. Could she love someone from a world so different from hers? How could she accept affection from a man who could spend a fortune in 5 minutes? Tears stung her eyes, choking the words she couldn't say. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening."
YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As silence enveloped them, the air thick with tension, Emily realized she stood on the edge of change. The world felt heavy around her, yet something within began to shift. Jake hesitated for a moment, searching her eyes. "Please, don't let this ruin us. I'll prove that who I am inside is more important than any number in a bank account." With resentment lurking just beneath, she understood they had crossed a line that divided them. Not just their social standings, but their very definitions of worth. The flicker of hope still danced in her chest. Would she allow her pride to rob her of the comfort of connection? And so, with her heart pounding and the stakes higher than ever, Emily had to confront a choice. Would she take a leap of faith, or allow fear to hold her back? Emily's breath caught in her throat as she stared at Jake. The cafe around them buzzed with laughter and chatty customers. Yet all she could hear was the pounding of her own heart. She stood at a crossroads, and every path felt fraught with danger. "I can't just ignore what I found out," she finally managed to say, her voice cracking under the weight of her emotions. "How can I trust you now?" She didn't know if she was asking him or pleading with herself. Would she be able to look past his wealth, the very thing that had intimidated her for so long? Jake stepped closer, eyes earnest. "I get it. You have every right to feel betrayed, but my hope is that you'll see me for who I truly am and not for all the money tied to my name. I was drawn to you because of your spirit, your passion, everything that makes you you." The sincerity in his gaze stung her heart. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to breathe in the scent of hope he offered, but how? The walls she had built around her heart were sturdy, constructed from years of disappointment. "Your spirit?
You're the owner of this cafe, Jake. You live in a world where dollars turn into dreams overnight, Emily replied, her voice steady despite the chaos inside. I can't let myself get involved in that life. I can't risk Lily's happiness. Each word felt like slicing the air between them, sharp and unyielding. I know about your dreams, Emily. I see how hard you work. You deserve so much more than what life has thrown at you, Jake said, his voice lowering, almost coaxing. I want to help you reach those dreams, not hinder them. You have to let me in. Emily shook her head, conflicted emotions flooding her. Did she want his help or his heart?
Would accepting his generosity mean she would lose a piece of herself? A small voice cut through the moment, pulling her back. Mommy? Lily appeared at the door, her innocent smile lighting up like a spark in the dimness of their conversation. Can we go home? I'm hungry. There she was, the reason Emily fought so hard. The sweet, unaware child who deserved a stable life. Emily looked at her daughter, then back at Jake, who awaited her answer with an expression of hope mingled with uncertainty. In that fleeting instant, the glare of certainty returned, and the weight of indecision felt unbearable. I have to put Lily first, Emily whispered, the words barely escaping her lips, as if admitting defeat. But even as she said it, she felt a pang of regret that left her hollow. Just think about it, Em, Jake replied, a gentle sadness cloaking his voice. I'll be here, waiting. With that, Emily took Lily's hand and walked out of Brood Awakenings, leaving a piece of her heart behind. As they walked home, life wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. The world felt uncertain, and the quiet hum of hope buzzed just beneath the surface. Could she really walk away from someone who believed in her dream? That night, as she tucked Lily into bed, Emily stared out the window at the twinkling city lights glimmering like stars. Doubts crowded her mind, and the sweet aroma of cupcakes faded in the distance. What would tomorrow bring? A continuation of the same grind? Or maybe, just maybe, an unexpected turn she never anticipated? Outside, Jake stood in the cafe, watching as twilight whispered its farewell, knowing he had laid his heart bare, but uncertain if he had truly reached her. And as Emily turned off the light, she felt a resolve building within her. Was there a way to reconcile her heart's desires with the realities of her life? Tomorrow would come, and with it, the chance to discover her true path. Emily awoke the next morning with Lily's soft breathing beside her. Sunlight spilled into the room, casting a warm glow, but the weight on her chest remained. She couldn't shake thoughts of Jake, his earnest eyes, and the hope he had held out to her. As she slid out of bed, her mind was a whirlwind of emotions, battling between guarding her heart and opening it up to possibilities. Mommy, look, Lily chirped, holding up a picture she had colored the night before. It was a vibrant drawing of their family, complete with stick figures and oversized smiles. Emily felt a surge of love wash over her, but the joy was tainted by tension. That's beautiful, sweetheart, Emily smiled, planting a kiss on Lily's forehead, though her mind was elsewhere. Would Lily ever understand the choices Emily had to make? She felt a tug between her daughter's innocence and the harsh realities of adult life. After breakfast, they headed to the park. The sun was bright. Everyone seemed to be in good spirits, but Emily's heart felt heavy. She watched as parents played with their children, soaking in the laughter and joy around her. Each smile was a reminder of what she desperately desired, stability and love for her child. Yet that dream felt just out of reach. As they walked through the park, she spotted Jake across the green space, a coffee cup in hand, speaking with a couple enjoying their morning. Seeing him took her breath away. He radiated warmth, and his laughter cut through the noise of the park like an enchanting melody. Why did he make her heart race like this? Lily tugged at her hand. Can we go say hi? How about we keep walking? Emily stammered, suddenly anxious. She was thankful for the distraction, but a part of her was drawn to the man who had upended her world in just one conversation. With a quick change of direction, she led them toward the playground. Yet a battle raged within her. Should she confront Jake, ask him more questions, or just keep her walls firmly in place? Lily's laughter brought her back to the present as she pushed her on the swing, yet the thrill was short-lived as doubt shadowed her every thought. What's wrong, Mommy? Lily asked, gazing up at her with wide, innocent eyes. Nothing, sweetheart. Just thinking, Emily replied, forcing a smile. Hours passed, but the park felt like a cage, each hour marking another tick of indecision.
As they headed home, Emily's heart begged for resolution. Would she lose Jake if she didn't reach out? And could she afford to take that risk? Later that evening, as she prepared dinner, Emily's phone buzzed. A message lit up the screen. "Hey, Em, I was hoping to see you today. Want to grab coffee tomorrow at Brewed Awakenings? My treat." Her heart raced at the thought of reconnecting, yet the uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud. Should she respond? Could she really face him again with all these conflicting feelings? Pressing a hand to her heart, she closed her eyes and took a breath. Was she just setting herself up for more heartache, or was this the opportunity she had been unknowingly craving? As she drafted her reply, it felt like stepping onto a tightrope. Each word was a step toward a new possibility, a fresh start, but beneath her resolve was a gut-wrenching fear of risk and disappointment. What would she say? And more importantly, what would this choice mean for her and Lily? She pressed send, a small tremble in her hands. Tomorrow would bring clarity or confusion. Either way, she couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. And as the night grew still, she wondered, was she ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, or would the fear of losing everything keep her shackled to her past? Emily couldn't sleep. Though she lay in bed, her eyes staring at the ceiling, her mind was racing. Thoughts of tomorrow filled her with anticipation and anxiety all at once.
The prospect of seeing Jake stirred something deep inside her, a feeling she hadn't allowed herself to remember for a long time. Lily slept soundly beside her, a peaceful little angel. Emily's heart ached at the thought of anything jeopardizing their simple life. Could a new connection be worth the risk? Would she be inviting chaos into their world? She kept replaying their last encounter, the way he had looked at her, as if he could see straight into her soul. Those eyes could hold a kind of magic, and it frightened her. But too many times she had let fear dictate her choices. Morning came quicker than she expected. Sunlight broke through the curtains, spilling into the room like a warm hug. Emily took a moment to enjoy the calm before the storm. She wanted to project confidence to Lily, so she pulled herself together, slipping into a soft sweater and some jeans, hoping they would bring comfort. Over breakfast, Lily excitedly chatted about her plans for the day, including a playdate she was eagerly awaiting. Emily's heart swelled with pride. How lucky she was to have such a bright, sunny child. But with each smile Lily flashed, a pang of guilt echoed in Emily's heart. What would it mean if she chose to pursue a relationship with Jake? Would it take her focus away from her daughter? Would it reshape their future? As she grabbed her bag before stepping out, she found herself hesitating by the door. What if Jake didn't show up? What if he did, and all her fears came crashing back? Could she afford to hope for something beautiful? Swallowing hard, she reminded herself that life had to be lived. Perhaps this meeting was exactly what she needed, a leap into the unknown. The coffee shop buzzed with life when she stepped in, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee swirling around her. Her eyes quickly landed on Jake sitting at a cozy corner table, a lopsided grin on his face as he waved. Her breath caught. He looked effortlessly handsome, his hair ruffled just so, his eyes dancing with mischief. "Hey, I'm so glad you came," he said, his voice warm and inviting. "Me too," she whispered, the weight of her worries feeling a little lighter as she sat across from him. They fell into easy conversation, sharing laughs and stories, but Emily's heart was still racing under the surface. Moments passed, and just as she felt herself relaxing, he leaned in, his expression serious. "Emily, can I ask you something?" The light shifted in the coffee shop, and everything seemed to fade away except for him. "Sure," she replied, her palms sweating slightly on the table. He hesitated, almost as if weighing his words carefully. "What do you want in life, really?" That question hung heavily in the air, and suddenly it felt like she was back on the tightrope again. I could feel her heart pounding as she thought about her response. Did she even know? Was she ready to articulate her hopes, let alone share them with Jake? She started, but no words came.
Instead, Emily looked deeply into his eyes, searching for something she hadn't understood before. And that's when everything shifted. With a newfound urgency, she blurted out, "I want to know if this connection is real, if it can be a beautiful beginning instead of just an ending." Jake's gaze softened, and for a heartbeat, it felt like the world paused. "Then let's see where this goes together," he replied quietly, and suddenly the air was charged with promise. But just as she felt sparks of hope ignite within her, her phone buzzed violently on the table, shattering the moment. The screen lit up with a name that sent dread through her. It was her ex, and she couldn't escape the feeling that whatever he had to say would tip her world upside down. Jake noticed the shift in her demeanor. Concern washed over his face,
and Emily suddenly felt trapped in the whirlwind of emotions. What could he possibly want now? Would it pull her back into a life she had fought so hard to escape? She grimaced at the thought, her heart racing again. This was not how she had envisioned her day going. She had come here ready to explore new beginnings, but now it felt like her past was catching up with her, threatening to unravel everything. As she stared at the screen, she realized this moment would be pivotal. Would she answer and risk everything? Tomorrow could hold the promise of something beautiful, but today she faced a shadow that could loom over them both. And the question was, how much of her past was she willing to bring into her future? Emily stared at her phone, almost willing it to stop vibrating. The world spun around her, the sounds of the coffee shop fading into a dull hum. All she could see was the name flashing on the screen, Mark. The very mention of him was like a dark cloud looming over the bright sunlight that had started to warm her heart moments before. Jake's concern was palpable. Emily? His eyes searched hers, looking for answers that felt locked away. Is everything okay? It's complicated, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. She put the phone down, hoping it would magically silence whatever storm brewed behind it. But it didn't work that way, did it? Their connection felt fragile now, a delicate thread tugged by unseen hands. Jake leaned back slightly, his brows knitting together. There was a moment of silence that hung heavy between them, thick with unspoken fears and possibilities. I don't have to pry, he said gently, but if it's something you want to talk about... Taking a deep breath, Emily shook her head. It's my past. I thought I had left it behind for good. The shadows of her memories crept back in, and she longed to escape them. She had fought so hard to create a haven for herself and Lily. The thought of Mark, the man who had once turned her life upside down, coming back into the picture was terrifying.
Emily, Jake said softly, and she felt something in his voice tethering her back to the present. You don't have to face this alone. We can handle whatever it is together. Those words sent a wave of warmth through her, a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. It was what she had been craving, the sense of partnership, of not having to bear the weight of her past alone. Yet, as she looked back at her phone, her heart raced. Each second felt like an eternity. What if Mark wanted to see Lily? What if he had something to say that would change everything? Taking a leap, she finally picked up the phone and pressed the button. The moment was excruciating, her heart pounding in her chest as she swiped to answer. Emily? Mark's voice came through, smooth and collected. I need to talk. It's important. Her throat tightened. What do you want? She asked, more sharply than she intended. I want to make things right. I've realized some things about what happened, things we need to resolve. There was a gentleness there, but it felt laced with something else she couldn't name. Manipulation? Regret? I don't think there's anything left to resolve, she replied, a knot forming in her stomach. But he pressed on. I know we left things unresolved, and I need to meet. For Lily. Emily winced at the mention of their daughter. That one word twisted in her gut. Could this conversation spiral down a path she didn't want to walk? Jake's watchful gaze didn't leave her face, and the weight of his presence was anchoring. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, there was a spark of resolve within her. Give me a reason, she demanded. Why should I let you back in after everything that happened? Mark hesitated on the other end, and she could sense the wheels turning in his mind. Because I've changed, Emily, and I believe you deserve to know the truth. Jake leaned in closer, almost instinctively, as if sensing her struggle. The words hung in the air, heavy with possibility. What could Mark say that could shift her world again? Did he know something she didn't? I'm staying at my dad's new place tomorrow. Come by. We can talk in person. Please. The desperation in his voice clawed at her, and she felt the tug of war inside her chest, old wounds and new beginnings colliding. Emily? Jake's voice cut through her thoughts, the concern still etched on his face. She looked at him, and for a moment, she couldn't decide what to do. Would she give Mark the chance to sway her back into chaos? Okay, she finally said, almost as if the words were dragged from her against her will. I'll come. But in accepting that meeting, had she just opened a door, allowing shadows from her past to creep back into her life? Jake took a deep breath. Are you sure? You don't have to do this. We can focus on us instead.
She glanced down at her phone once more, her answer uncertain. Tomorrow, she would face a choice that could reshape everything she hoped for.
And yet, as fear mixed with the spark of hope for her future with Jake, she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever awaited her with Mark could change everything. The stakes had suddenly become too high. Could she salvage the new beginning she craved, or would her past pull her back into its grasp once more? The unanswered questions loomed over her, and as she looked back at Jake, she felt the weight of it all. She had to know if she was truly ready to take this leap. But at what cost? Emily rolled over in bed, sunlight filtering through the curtains, chasing away the remnants of the night. Today felt monumental, a crossroads marked by dread and anticipation. The meeting with Mark loomed ahead, an unwelcome specter hanging over her thoughts. She knew she needed to be strong for Lily, but the uncertainty gnawed at her. She quietly moved to the kitchen and poured herself a cup of coffee, watching the steam curl gracefully into the air. It was one of those rare moments of tranquility before the day broke loose. Jake had gone to work early, giving her space to collect her thoughts. His earlier concerns still warmed her inside, but how could she share this part of her world with him? Would he understand the danger Mark represented? As she sipped her coffee, she couldn't help but dwell on the past. Memories rushed in, happy laughter that had turned to hushed sobs, moments stolen and twisted into chaos. Mark had been her biggest mistake, the man who promised her everything but delivered nothing but heartache. But what had changed? Was his desire to see Lily genuine, or was it a calculated move to pull her back in? The questions circled her mind while she stared blankly at the wall. Was it even fair to put Jake in the position of choosing sides? The phone buzzed on the counter, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from Jake. "Are you okay? Thinking about you." A wave of warmth washed over her. He really cared. Steeling herself, she quickly typed back, "I'll be okay. Just a lot on my mind." She took a deep breath, setting the coffee mug down. It was time to focus. She needed a plan for this meeting. Getting her thoughts in order would help her approach the conversation with Mark like a business deal rather than a tangled emotional mess. After a shower and a few pauses to breathe through her anxiety, she gathered some of Lily's drawings, the ones that always made her smile. They reminded her of the joy that still flickered in their lives, despite the dark shadows of the past. Today was about protecting that joy. As she prepared to leave, she worried briefly about how to explain to Lily why she would be seeing Mark. Would her daughter be hurt? Confused? But as always, she couldn't let fear rule her. Lily deserved to know her father, even if the road was rocky. Driving to Mark's dad's place felt surreal. The neighborhood was familiar, yet foreign, a stark reminder of the life she thought she had escaped.
As she pulled up, anxiety tightened her chest. This was it. She would either reclaim her old power or let it slip through her fingers. Stepping out of the car, she took a moment to steady herself. The air felt heavier, thick with memories and unanswered questions. Each footstep toward the front door echoed in her ears. When she knocked, she braced herself for anything. Mark could greet her with all the charm he once had, or he could show the desperation that had clung to him during their last encounters. The door creaked open. There he stood, looking different yet somehow the same. His smile was warm, but she felt no warmth in return. "Emily," his voice was low, almost nervous. "Let's get this over with," she said, not wanting to play any games. Mark stepped aside, and she entered, her heart racing. The walls were lined with pictures of family moments, and they struck her hard, a life they once pictured together but never achieved. "Thank you for coming," he said, closing the door behind her. "I know this isn't easy." "Nothing about you is easy," she shot back. He let out a sigh, a flicker of pain crossing his face. "I understand why you feel that way, but I've grown. I promise you, I've realized a lot since the last time we spoke." "Then let's get to it," she interjected before he could spiral into nostalgia. "What do you have to say that could ever change my mind?" Mark's expression shifted, revealing raw emotion. "It's about Lily. I'm ready to be there for her, truly. I need you to trust me just a bit." Trust? That word filled the air between them like broken glass, shattered, dangerous. Could she really drop her guard? In that instant, everything around her faded, his gaze locking onto hers, desperate yet earnest. The stakes felt higher than ever, and a part of her wondered, would she see the truth or simply fall for another manipulation? But what neither of them expected was the truth that would emerge next, something that would shake their entire world once more. Mark shifted, the weight of his revelation hanging between them like an unsteady bridge. Emily's heartbeat quickened, each pulse echoing in her ears. She wanted to recoil, to shut him out and deny the deep-seated emotions clawing at her heart. "Trust you?" she finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Trust is a luxury I can't afford anymore." Mark's face fell. "I get that, but I need you to see that I've changed. I've been through a lot." His words stumbled out, laden with an intensity that told her he was bearing more than just his soul. "Whatever you've gone through, Mark, doesn't erase what you've done," she shot back. Memories flooded back, phone calls ignored, promises broken. The pain was still fresh, a jagged scar that had never quite healed. He took a step closer, eyes pleading. "I just want to be a father to Lily. I want her to have a normal life. You can help me with that. Just give me one chance." A low laugh escaped her lips, almost bitter.
You think a chance is all it takes? That just saying you want to be there is enough? You don't even know her." She couldn't help but feel the threat of anger welling up in her chest, like a dam waiting to burst. But even as resentment surged, she felt a small, insistent thought fight to break through. What if he was telling the truth? What if he had really changed? "Then let me meet her," he said suddenly, his voice urgent and desperate. "That's all I ask. I can't make this work without taking the first step." The idea sent a jolt of panic through her. "You think I'm just going to waltz back home and tell my daughter that her father, who dropped out of our lives like a ghost, wants to see her? You've got to be kidding." "Please, Emily, it's not just about me. She deserves to know she's loved. It wasn't her fault." Silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating, as Emily felt the pieces of a shattered puzzle drawn closer together. She clenched her fists, processing the sudden vulnerability in Mark's voice. There was desperation in his plea, and for a fleeting moment, the image of Lily waiting for her to come home tugged at her heart. But just as the flicker of empathy ignited, doubt snuffed it out. "And what if this is all just for show? What if you hurt her the way you hurt me?" "I'll never hurt her." The sincerity of Mark's promise pulled at something buried deep inside her. "I've done enough damage. I'm ready to fix it. I'll fight for her." Emily felt the tears sting her eyes as memory surged once again. The broken promises, the nights filled with fear and loneliness, the sense of betrayal, it all clawed at her with sharp claws. "I don't know what to believe," she whispered hoarsely, tears blurring her vision. As the air thickened with unspoken tension, Mark's countenance softened. "Believe that I want to be a better man. For her. For you. Just give me a chance to show you." And there it was, the desperate hope she had long since dismissed resurfacing like a wave crashing on the shore. Should she let this new man in? Could she take that risk for Lily's sake? The storm of mixed emotions swirling inside her reached a boiling point, and Emily found herself at a crossroads. "Fine," she said, her voice shaky. "We'll talk, but only if you meet her first. If she doesn't want to see you, it ends there." A flicker of relief crossed his features, and for a moment she saw the father she had long wanted for Lily, not the man who had wounded her. Emily's heart raced with dread and slightly unfurling hope. She had opened a door, but was she ready for whatever lay on the other side? As that thought echoed in her mind, her phone buzzed within her back. It was Jake. "Where are you? I'm worried." She glanced at Mark, feeling the weight of the promise hanging in the air, uncertain, yet laden with a sense of possibility. Would she explain everything to Jake, or shield him in layers of half-truths?
As fear gripped her tight, she couldn't help but wonder, could Mark truly be the man she always wanted him to be, or was she merely setting herself up for more pain? The road ahead is foggy, but one thing is clear: nothing would prepare her for what was about to unfold. Emily stared at her phone, the screen glowing bright against the dimming light of the pub. Jake's message hung in the air like a tether, pulling her back to reality. She could sense his worry radiating from the other side. They had been through so much, he and Lily both, and yet here she was, grappling with the remnants of the past while trying to redefine the future. "Are you going to reply?" Mark's voice broke through, pressing against the wall she had erected in her mind. "Give me a second," she snapped, more for her own benefit than his. She briefly considered telling Jake the truth about Mark, the father who had vanished only to reappear now with promises, but a rush of dread cloaked the thought. The last thing she wanted was to drag him into this mess, to stress him out more than he already was. "What, you're just going to leave me hanging here?" Mark's tone was edged with impatience. She shot him a glare, feeling a mix of anger and frustration build within her. "You're the one who brought this entire disaster to my doorstep."
His shoulders slumped, and for a moment she saw the man beneath the regret. This wasn't the time for her to crumble, not now, not when everything felt achingly close to falling apart or coming together. "Emily," he said softly, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. He sighed heavily, running a hand through his hair. "I just want to do right by Lily. I'm here to fight for her, for both of you." Fighting wasn't the issue. It was her own heart that she feared to unleash into the chaos. "Let's focus on Lily for now, okay?" she said, the edge softening in her voice. "I'll text Jake. He's probably... Never mind." Mark nodded, seemingly relieved, but she could see the uncertainty flickering behind his eyes. It mirrored her own. With a deep breath, she typed a quick response. "Just catching up with someone. I'll be home soon." Then she hit send and looked up at Mark. "We don't have to do this all at once. We can take our time, see how Lily feels. She's still so young." Of course. But inside, she could feel tension unspooling in a web of worry. The idea of introducing Mark back into their lives felt like balancing on a tightrope. If he fell, it could all go crashing down. "Do you remember Lily's favorite park?" she asked suddenly, trying to change gears. "Of course. I remember the swings. She loved those." The memory sparked warmth in her chest, but that glow quickly faded. "So, what do you think? Maybe you two could meet there first? Just a casual encounter, nothing overwhelming." His eyes glimmered with something she couldn't quite place. "Hope? I'd love that. Great."
But Mark, you need to understand this isn't your second chance with me, she firmly stated, locking her gaze on his. It's just a chance with her. If she doesn't want you in her life, then that's that. He swallowed hard. A mixture of determination and fear etched on his features. I get it. I'd expect nothing less. Emily felt a flicker of hope at that, something so fragile it practically teetered on the edge of despair. Could Mark really meet her expectations? Would he be able to change the narrative they once had? Her phone buzzed again, slicing through the silence. Emily glanced down to see another message from Jake. "Are you sure everything's okay?" Mark noticed her frown. "You can't keep hiding this from him. It'll eat away at you." "Yeah, well, a little honesty goes a long way, doesn't it?" she replied, feeling the weight of those words. The truth had a way of coming out, didn't it? "Just remember, you're not alone in this. Whatever happens," Mark's voice trailed off, and she could see he meant every word. But that's where it all felt so fragile. What if he couldn't keep his promise? What if he slipped up and shattered everything again? The nagging thought clawed at her. "Yeah," she whispered, uncertainty dancing around her heart. And as they stepped outside into the cool night air, new questions rose like mist around them. What would tomorrow bring? Would Lily be receptive? Could she trust Mark to finally step up? Emily's breath hitched as she prepared to take those uncertain steps toward a complicated future. For the first time, the storm inside her quieted just enough to allow a glimmer of hope to emerge. But how strong was that hope really? And when they reached the car, the silence pulsed with what-ifs, each one more daunting than the last. Could she truly let him back in? Only time would tell, and the clock was ticking. The car ride home felt long and heavy, the air thick with unspoken thoughts. Emily clutched the steering wheel as her mind raced. Mark sat in the passenger seat, his presence both comforting and unnerving. The city lights blurred by, streaks of color merging into one another, just like the tangled emotions inside her. "Are you okay?" Mark finally broke the silence. She nodded, though the movement felt false. "I'm just thinking." "About what?" he pressed gently, not wanting to push too hard, but clearly eager to know. She hesitated, then sighed. "About Lily. How she'll feel seeing you again, or if she'll remember you." Mark's expression softened, and for a fleeting moment, she saw the man he might become, the father he claimed to be. "I've thought about that too. She was so little when I left, but she was my everything, and I just hope she's okay." His sincerity ignited something in her chest, a flicker of empathy mixed with confusion. Had he really changed, or was this all just another layer of his charm? The road ahead twisted, and she felt their story weaving unpredictably, like the path they traveled. They arrived home. The familiar warmth of her front porch awaited, but Emily lingered a moment longer, staring at the door. "We should tell her soon," she finally said, the fear settling like stones in her stomach. "Yeah," Mark agreed, but the heaviness in his voice told her he was also grappling with doubts. Inside, the house was quiet. Lily was likely asleep, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just beyond her bedroom door. Emily tiptoed through the hallway,
glancing at the family photos lining the walls. Each image was a reminder of what they had built, a life filled with laughter and innocent dreams. Could these memories coexist with the mess Mark had left behind? Emily finally stepped into the living room and sank onto the couch, exhausted. "Maybe we should wait until morning," she suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. "Whatever you think is best," Mark replied, his eyes studying her as if trying to decipher every hidden thought. She returned his gaze, but his presence began to feel overwhelming. The weight of his promise, of rekindling a connection not just with her but with her daughter, hovered in the space between them. Could he deliver? Or would this begin another cycle of heartbreak? As silence enveloped them, she felt the urge to break away, to seek comfort in a familiar routine. "I should check on Jake," she said, needing a grounding link. "You should rest or something." "Okay," he replied slowly, as if he were ready to argue but chose to follow her lead instead. She turned toward her phone again, her heart racing as she prepared to reach out. It was one thing to face Mark, but talking to Jake felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to jump. What if he knew everything? What if he didn't? Would he still want her after learning the truth? Before she could second-guess herself, she typed a short message. "Just got home. I need to talk." Mark watched her, a mix of concern and patience in his eyes. A knot tightened in her chest even as hope flickered. Would Jake be understanding? Was there still a chance for trust between them? When her phone vibrated, the sound cut through the tension, setting her heart racing again. It was Jake. "I'm here for you, whenever you're ready." Emily sighed, relief washing over her momentarily, but as she glanced at Mark, the world outside their little bubble pressed in. What would tomorrow bring? Tomorrow held the weight of everything, the revelation, the emotions, and the future. As fatigue settled over her like a blanket, one last question lingered in her mind. Was she truly ready for what lay ahead? And with that uncertainty, the night loomed heavy and pregnant with possibilities that felt just beyond her grasp. Would she and Mark be able to navigate the complexities of their past to build something for Lily? Or were they simply setting themselves up for another crash?
The sun broke through the chaos of the previous night, spilling light across Emily's kitchen table where she sat, a storm of thought swirling in her mind. Today was the day. Today, she would take a breath and face the music. The heart of the matter was simple: Lily's happiness. Lily bounced down the stairs, her bright smile illuminating the dim corners of Emily's worries. "Mommy, can we go to the park today?" Her excitement felt contagious, and for a moment Emily believed in fairy tales, ones where everything could be fixed with a sprinkle of magic. "Yes, sweetheart," Emily replied, forcing a smile to mask the weight on her chest. But there was also a flutter of hope. Maybe today would offer answers. As they reached the park, Emily spotted Mark leaning against a tree, nervously watching for their arrival. His presence filled her with a mixture of hope and dread. Today wouldn't be just about him. It would also be about closure, and perhaps a new beginning. "Mommy, it's Daddy," Lily squealed, her joy radiant. Emily's heart ached. It was the first time in years that Lily would see her father. She prayed this moment would bring only joy and not chaos. As they approached, Mark's face lit up with a nervous smile. "Hey, buddy," he said, kneeling down to meet Lily at her level. "Hi," she cheered, arms wide open. Emily watched as Lily jumped into Mark's embrace, a pure moment filled with potential. Yet part of her still clung to apprehension. This was the real test, wasn't it? Could he stay true to his word? "Thanks for coming," Mark said as he got to his feet, his eyes darting nervously between Emily and Lily. "Let's just see how it goes," Emily replied, her voice steady. They walked together toward the swings, Mark pushing Lily gently, laughter bubbling from her lips. Emily felt a flicker of the family they could have been, if only circumstances had been different. But still, doubts flickered. As the sun warmed the chilly air, Lily turned to her father. "Will you come play with me?" "Of course," Mark replied, joining her on the playground. Emily stood back, a moment of exasperation washed away by the simple sight of joy. But then guilt began to creep in. Would Lily's innocent happiness blind her to the truth, the depth of Mark's past? And what about Jake? Oh, Jake. She had hidden so much from him, and now, in this moment, it felt increasingly vital to share with him her life's reality. "Mom?" Lily's voice broke through her thoughts, pulling Emily back. "Can you push me too?" Emily stepped forward, forcing a smile as she engaged in the playful rhythm of spinning swings and light laughter. As she felt Lily's joy, her heart began to warm. "Mark," she said quietly, turning to him, "you need to understand, we're still figuring things out. Just because Lily's happy doesn't mean everything is fixed." Mark's expression softened, understanding eclipsed his eagerness. "I know, Emily. I really want to be in her life, to be a good father. But I need patience. I hope you can give me that."
And right there, in the midst of simple swing sets and the echoes of laughter, the two of them began to unpack the threads of their messy history, carefully, cautiously. "I know I hurt you," he admitted, his voice almost breaking, "and I hate myself for it, but I want to make this right, one day at a time." Suspended between the past and what could be, Emily felt the flicker at hope deepen. Maybe Mark wasn't the man he once was. Maybe change was possible. The sun began to set, casting long shadows over their laughter-filled park. Emily's phone buzzed then, and Jake's name illuminated the screen. She hesitated before answering. This was the moment when everything could shift again. "Hey, Em, just checking in. How's it going?" His voice was warm and sincere, as always. Emily glanced over at Mark, who was still fully engaged with Lily. Could she let Jake into this fragile moment? "Jake, I'm with Mark and Lily at the park. They're bonding," she admitted, unsure how to convey the complication of emotions. "Bonding?" Jake echoed, his voice sharp with unmasked concern. "How are you feeling about that?" "Okay," she took a breath. I think he's actually trying this time." "Trying isn't enough," Jake replied gently. "You deserve to be happy, Em. Remember that." "I know. I wish I could just know how to let him back in." "Let him earn it, one moment at a time. But don't forget about us. You and Lily deserve to be loved." His words rang in her ears like a beacon. She needed to tell Jake the whole truth about Mark, but now was not the moment. She had to protect her daughter's innocence and stabilization first. "Let's talk later, okay?" she said carefully. "Sure. Just know I care. You both matter." With that, Emily ended the call and locked her phone away, grateful for his support, but still conflicted about how to explain everything once the day came to an end. As the sky darkened and stars peeked through the veil of night, Emily knelt beside Lily, watching her with Mark. There was something undeniably hopeful in this family moment. Perhaps, just perhaps, they could build new pathways forward. Together. And as she looked up at Mark, something shifted. There was hope blooming in her heart. A cautious, fierce hope that whispered change could happen. Maybe the heart could heal, piece by piece, one moment at a time. In that beating moment, Emily felt lighter, as the weight of the past began to lift, replaced by a chance for a new beginning, forged not just by heart, but by intention. Today could spark a flame, leading to a future that shone even brighter. And for the first time in a long while, she felt ready to embrace whatever came next. If you enjoyed this inspiring story and want more incredible transformations, you need to subscribe now to stay updated. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button right now and keep us thriving in the algorithm.
And I'm calling on you. Comment below about how you felt during this emotional journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this transformation. Your engagement makes all the difference.